My family tried to make me watch 12 Kids at our Christmas gathering. But I firmly refused. I 28F. Never thought I'd be sharing this story on Reddit, but after years of being treated like the family's personal childcare service, I've finally reached my breaking point. This isn't just about occasional babysitting, it's about systematic exploitation disguised as family duty that's been going on for over a decade. Let me paint you a picture of my family dynamics. I'm the youngest of 3 sisters, with Jennifer, 37F, and Rachel, 35F, being 9 and 7 years older than me respectively. We grew up in suburban Minnesota, in what everyone on the outside would consider a picture-perfect middle-class family. Jennifer became a corporate lawyer, Rachel's a pediatric nurse, and I'm currently preparing for my master's degree in environmental engineering, though my family seems to view my academic pursuits as more of an inconvenience than an achievement. Growing up with such a significant age gap meant I was essentially raised as an only child, except without the attention usually lavished on one. Our house was practically a shrine to my sister's accomplishments. Every surface seemed to display their trophies, awards, and achievements. I would sit at family dinners, barely visible behind the tower of college brochures and academic awards, listening to endless updates about Jennifer's latest legal internship or Rachel's nursing program successes. My earliest clear memory is from when I was 4, watching Jennifer bring home her first serious boyfriend. I was peeking through the banister as this tall guy with carefully styled hair shook hands with our dad. The whole family made such a fuss. Mom prepared a special dinner, Dad cleared his schedule to be home early. 2 years later, when Rachel started dating at 15, it was the same story. They were both so effortlessly perfect, everything I wasn't and wasn't expected to be. Mom would spend hours helping Jennifer choose prom dresses or discussing college applications with Rachel. Meanwhile, I learned to be self-sufficient out of necessity. By middle school, I was doing my homework without reminders, making my own lunch, and essentially managing my own schedule. When Jennifer got accepted into law school, Mom made her famous celebration pancakes. I sat at my usual spot, practically invisible, while everyone fawned over the acceptance letter. The real turning point came when I was 15. Jennifer, who had married and moved across town, had her first child, Tyler. You would have thought the sun and moon had aligned. My parents were absolutely ecstatic about becoming grandparents. "You'll be such a wonderful aunt," Mom said, patting my shoulder with that knowing look I've come to dread. At first, I was genuinely excited about being an aunt. Tyler was an adorable baby, and I enjoyed making silly faces at him while Mom and Jennifer had their coffee and catch-up sessions. But what started as occasional Aunt Jennifer began stopping by every weekend. "Could you watch Tyler for a couple of hours? I really need to do some shopping." She'd place Tyler in my arms and disappear before I could even respond, always with a breezy "Thanks, sis. You're the best." These couple of hours would routinely stretch into entire afternoons. This pattern became our new normal. Every weekend, Jennifer would show up at our parents' house, hand over Tyler, then vanish for hours. Sometimes it was shopping, other times lunch with friends, or a spa day, always with the justification of needing a break from motherhood. One particularly frustrating Saturday, 5 hours after Jennifer had left, I complained to Mom about missing plans with my friends at the mall. She barely looked up from her magazine. "Family helps family, sweetie. You'll understand when you're a mother." Just when I thought things couldn't get more overwhelming, Rachel announced her pregnancy with Sophie. The family erupted in celebration while I felt my stomach drop, already anticipating what was coming. When Sophie arrived, history repeated itself with a vengeance. My weekends became a chaotic juggling act of caring for 3-year-old Tyler and infant Sophie. Try managing a toddler who's using your coffee table as an art canvas while simultaneously trying to soothe a crying baby. It's not as endearing as it sounds. If they happened to nap at the same time, I was lucky to finish any homework. One Saturday, while bouncing Sophie on my hip and watching Tyler turn our coffee table into his latest masterpiece, I tried telling Dad that my friend Jason had asked me to the movies. His response? "Well, you should have thought about that before agreeing to watch the kids." I never agreed. "Nobody ever asks me," I said, the frustration in my voice making Sophie start crying. From the kitchen, Mom scolded, "Lower your voice, you're upsetting the baby. And stop being selfish, your sisters need this support." That's when I started spending all my free time in the school library, researching colleges, not just any colleges, but ones far, far from home. I knew good grades would be my ticket to freedom, so I threw myself into my studies. Every A on my report card felt like a step closer to escape. When my acceptance letter arrived from Berkeley with a half scholarship, I felt like I could finally breathe. Naturally, though, my family had other ideas. "The community college here has a great business program," Jennifer said during what they called a family council, but I dubbed an intervention. Rachel chimed in, as if it were a selling point. "You could live at home and save money, and help with the kids." That's when Grandma rose, who had been unusually quiet throughout this family meeting, spoke up. Her voice cut through the tension like a hawk across the Minnesota sky. "I think Berkeley is perfect for Ruby. That program is exactly what she needs for her future career, and your grandfather's education fund will help cover what the scholarship doesn't." I could have kissed her. I didn't care when the family council ended with my parents and sisters shooting daggers at me. I could see my future clearly for the first time in years, and it didn't involve changing diapers and cleaning sticky hands. College fulfilled every dream I had. My room became my sanctuary. My classmates became true friends, and for the first time in years, my weekends were my own. No crying infants, no sticky toddlers, just me and my choices. But you can't completely escape family obligations, especially around holidays. Thanksgiving and Christmas were non-negotiable, though I tried to visit as little as possible. Mom would call weeks ahead, her voice full of expectation. "Everyone's asking about you. The kids miss their aunt." The first Christmas break after I started college was absolute chaos. Jennifer now had 2 boys, Tyler and his baby brother Andrew. Rachel had added Max to her household alongside Sophie, but that wasn't even the worst of it. As soon as I walked through the door, Aunt Janet called out, steering her twin 5-year-old straight towards me. "The kids have been asking about you." No, they haven't, I thought to myself. They barely know who I am. But before I could object, Rachel's 7-year-old daughter attached herself to my leg, followed by cousin Mike's 6-year-old. Mom called from the kitchen, barely visible behind a stack of dishes. "Ruby, honey, I'll bring up some snacks later. Why don't you take the kids upstairs to your old room?" And just like that, I felt more like a sheepdog than a college student, herding 8 kids up the stairs. My childhood bedroom turned into a war zone. Toys everywhere, juice spills on my old blanket, crayon marks appearing on the walls as if by magic. 3 hours passed, and the delicious smells from downstairs, where the adults were enjoying their quiet holiday dinner, made my stomach growl. When Mom finally appeared with a tray of kid-friendly snacks, she barely made eye contact. By the time I managed to sneak downstairs at 8 p.m., after helping several parents collect their tired children, the dining room was empty except for dirty dishes and picked-over serving platters. "Oh, Ruby," Rachel said, already putting on her coat, "Max was an angel for you, right? We have to run past his bedtime." Jennifer did the same, gathering her boys while discussing New Year's plans with Mom. Cousins Rachel and Mike were carrying their sleeping children to their cars while Aunt Janet was getting her twins into their snow boots. Not a single thank you. Nobody asked if I'd eaten. Not even a second glance as they all filed out, leaving me standing amid the Christmas dinner carnage. Mom called from the kitchen, "Ruby, be a dear and help me with these dishes," as if I hadn't just done her an enormous favor. Looking at the stack of soiled plates and serving dishes, evidence of a holiday meal I never got to enjoy, something inside me snapped. But I kept quiet, helping with the cleanup while silently planning my next semester schedule to minimize my time at home. Just when I was finishing my final paper during finals week, Mom's message arrived. Her usual pre-holiday update pinged on my phone, but this one made my blood run cold. "Jennifer and Rachel are coming with the kids," it said excitedly. "Plus Janet and her twins, Rachel's girls, Mike's kids, and exciting news, Jennifer's sister-in-law Lisa is joining us with her 3. It'll be such a wonderful Christmas with all the little ones." I did the math in my head. 12 children in all. 12. I sat in the library staring at my phone until the screen went dark, then lit it up again just to make sure I'd read it correctly. The message remained the same, but something inside me had finally changed. 2 years of college had given me perspective. I'd seen my roommate Kate return from holidays with tales of actual family time, board games, movie nights, proper Christmas feasts. My friend Jessica's biggest complaint about going home was having to share the TV remote with her brothers. Meanwhile, I'd spent every holiday of my adult life working as an unpaid nanny service. Mom's message went unread. Instead, I packed for Christmas vacation with an odd sense of peace. For the first time ever, I wasn't dreading the holidays, because I was going home with a plan. The days leading up to Christmas were deceptively routine. I breathed in the familiar smells of Mom's signature dishes: pot roast, honey-glazed ham, and her famous apple pie. I helped in the kitchen, decorated the tree, carefully hanging the elegant glass balls Mom designated for the front among the ornaments I'd made in elementary school. Christmas Day arrived in a flurry of activity. Every car pulling into our driveway brought more chaos than the last. Jennifer showed up first with her boys, now 5 and 3. Then Rachel with Sophie and Max arrived with her 3 kids under 7. Lisa, Jennifer's sister-in-law, followed with her brood. The rest of the relatives arrived after them, each family contributing more children to the swelling assembly. From my corner of the living room, I watched as the noise level steadily increased. Jennifer approached me, her older one tugging at her sleeve while the younger balanced on her hip. "Ruby, she called out in that familiar tone that suggested she was about to discharge her parental responsibilities. She was already steering them down. She was 100 times before. But this time was different. This time, I stayed put and looked her squarely in the eye. "No," I answered, my voice firm despite my pounding pulse. "I'm here to enjoy Christmas like everyone else. I'm not watching the kids today." Though there were too many children for the room to go completely quiet, I could feel the shock rippling through the adults. Jennifer's mouth dropped open. Mom froze in the doorway with a tray of cookies, eyebrows rising. Dad turned from his newspaper. Rachel's panicked voice carried across the living room. "But who's going to watch all the kids?" As I started toward the stairs, I sat over my shoulder, just long enough to catch Mom's helpless shrug and the confused expressions on everyone's faces. Someone else. I turned back, and the sight almost made me laugh. They looked like someone had just told them Christmas was canceled. "I need advice, Reddit. Am I wrong for finally standing up for myself? Should I have waited until after the holidays?" I can already hear my phone blowing up with messages from family members, but for the first time in years, I feel like I can breathe. Update 1. First, thank you all for the overwhelming support on my original post. Your comments helped me stay strong during what happened next. After heading upstairs, I walked past the family photos commemorating my sister's many successes and into my childhood bedroom. The gentle click of the door closing behind me felt like the period at the end of a very long sentence. I collapsed onto my bed, the same twin bed I'd had since middle school, and took a deep breath. Downstream, I could hear the muffled sounds of chaos, adult voices rising and falling, children wailing, the occasional thump of something being thrown or dropped. Can you believe her? So selfish. In my day, bits of conversation that floated up through the floor made me smile. Let them talk. Let them finally experience dealing with their own offspring. A message from my college friend Kate buzzed on my phone. "Did you finally stand up to them?" I texted back, "Operation Freedom is in progress. Currently hiding in my room while they try to parent their own children." My messaging was interrupted by a knock on my door. "Ruby?" Mom's voice was striving for concern but landed somewhere between angry and desperate. "The children are asking for you." I stayed where I was, comfortable on my bed. "I'm busy, Mom." I heard her sigh through the door, then her footsteps retreated down the hallway. 2 hours passed in peaceful rebellion, with messages of encouragement from friends who'd heard me complain about years of holiday babysitting responsibility pinging frequently on my phone. Eventually, the chaos downstairs found a different rhythm, one without my involvement. Based on everyone's reaction when I finally came down for dinner, you would have thought I'd risen from the dead. Aunt Janet actually dropped her fork. Cousin Rachel's mouth hung open mid-sentence. I looked around the dining room and saw Jennifer conspicuously absent. I could picture her in the living room, trying to organize some sort of game with the kids, her usually flawless hair coming loose from her elegant updo, a mystery stain on her festive sweater. Sitting at the adult table for the first time in recent memory, I looked around at the spread, still hot, still fresh, still waiting to be savored. Everything was not half-eaten children's portions, not picket-over leftovers, not lukewarm remains. As I loaded Mom's honey-glazed ham, Aunt Janet's sweet potato casserole, and Cousin Rachel's famous green bean dish onto my plate, I could feel the weight of judgmental looks. I was halfway through savoring my first proper Christmas dinner in years when Jennifer finally snapped. She had been watching me eat with the kind of focus usually reserved for nature documentaries about prey and predators. "Well," she announced to the table at large, her voice dripping with sarcasm, "looks like someone's gotten a little too big for their boots at college. Seems they've forgotten all about sisterly duties." I deliberately licked my spoon clean before answering, taking my time with each bite of mashed potatoes. "Funny thing about sisterly duties," I said, speaking softly but steadily. "I don't remember seeing free babysitter in any sisterhood manual. Maybe you could point that chapter out to me? Right after the part where parents are supposed to be watching their own children?" If the gasps around the table hadn't been so real, they would have been funny. Aunt Janet literally clutched her pearls. I hadn't known anyone actually did that outside of movies. Mom and Dad exchanged that special look they share, the one that says they're disappointed but don't want to make a scene. Rachel appeared in the doorway about 20 minutes into dinner, looking like she'd been through a war. Her hair had completely escaped its updo, and her Christmas sweater now displayed what appeared to be juice stains in addition to the earlier unidentified substance. She looked exhausted, the kind of bone-deep fatigue I'd been experiencing every holiday for years. Having finished my meal, which included 2 slices of Mom's apple pie, a luxury I'd never been able to indulge in before, I quietly got up from the table. No one objected, no one asked me to help with cleanup, and no one insisted I check on the children. I packed my bags that night and left early the next morning, before the inevitable family meeting could be called. Sometimes the best way to break a pattern is to simply remove yourself from the equation entirely. I'll update if anything significant happens, but for now, I'm enjoying the peaceful drive back to my dorm and the knowledge that for the first time in years, I spent Christmas as a family member, not an employee. Update 2. Well, it's been 3 days since my Christmas dinner rebellion, and things have escalated exactly as I expected. When I returned to the dorm, I found my phone flooded with messages. But what happened this morning takes the cake. As I was finishing my last paper during winter break, I found myself in an ambush-style video call with Mom, Dad, and both sisters. Jennifer wasted no time at all. "What kind of performance was that yesterday?" she snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass, making us look like poor parents in front of everyone. "Performance?" I replied calmly. "You mean me wanting to enjoy Christmas like everyone else? I'm just tired of being the unpaid, unsung babysitter while everyone else gets to have an actual holiday." "But you never complained before," Mom said, her brow wrinkled with uncertainty. I couldn't help but laugh. "Never complained, Mom. I've been complaining for years, but it was just too convenient to ignore me. Too easy to keep exploiting the good little sister who never makes waves." They all started talking simultaneously, their voices merging in a cacophony of accusations and reminders of sisterly duty and family obligation. Mom kept bringing up how much they had done for me over the years, while my sisters alternated between direct insults and guilt trips. Dad kept noting how much they had done for me over the years, citing everything from dance lessons in elementary school to the car they helped me buy for college. Before I spoke again, I let them exhaust their steam. "They're not my children," I responded gently but firmly. "I didn't decide to have them. They're your responsibility, not mine, especially during the holidays when I'm supposed to be relaxing too. I have my own life, my own studies, and my own future to think about." At that, Jennifer played what she believed to be her trump card. She stood up, red-faced. "Well, maybe someone should teach you a lesson about gratitude. Let's see how you manage without Mom and Dad paying your college tuition." The room grew quiet. I saw Mom and Dad exchange uneasy looks, obviously startled by the suggestion. But instead of the panic Jennifer clearly expected to see on my face, I felt an odd sense of relief. "Actually, Jennifer," I said, slowly rising from my chair, "Grandma's been paying my tuition from Grandpa's education fund. You know, the same fund that helped put you through law school and Rachel through nursing school. And even if that wasn't the case, I have a partial scholarship and unlike some people, I'm not afraid of working to support myself." Not waiting for their response, I ended the call. Less than 10 minutes were needed to pack the rest of my belongings. Over the years, I developed pretty good light travel habits. Everything important fit into 2 suitcases and a backpack. Mom and Dad started calling immediately after, their voices in the voicemails a mix of panic and anger, but I was done talking. Walking out to my car, I barely felt the winter air biting at my cheeks. The morning was crisp and clear, typical Minnesota winter weather, but somehow it felt fresher than usual. The drive back to university was strangely peaceful. Mom, Dad, Jennifer, and Rachel, I methodically blocked their numbers as the distance between my house and here grew. Every press on my phone screen felt like severing another link in a chain I hadn't even realized was dragging me down. My dorm room greeted me with its simple blessings. There were no toys scattered across the floor, no sticky fingerprints on the glass, and no constant background noise of kids begging for attention. Just my books, my laptop, and my own thoughts. January has gone by in a whirlwind of new courses and peaceful weekends. February brought snow and a wonderful absence of family conflict. I've thrown myself into my studies, made plans with friends, and for the first time in years, feel like I'm living my own life rather than existing on the edges of everyone else's. I do occasionally see posts from Jennifer on social media, sharing photos of her boys growing up quickly. Part of me hopes she'll eventually recognize her mistakes and reach out first. Until then, I'm at peace with the distance. It turns out no is the most powerful word on earth, and I've learned that even with family, sometimes you have to start your own fire to keep warm. Update 3. One late February frigid Saturday morning, I glanced out my dorm window and noticed Mom, Dad, and Rachel standing in the parking lot, looking out of place among students hurrying to and from classes. My first instinct was to pretend I wasn't home, but I stopped because of something in their body language. They looked smaller somehow, less like authority figures and more like people who had driven for hours to address a wrong. I met them in the lobby. Rachel spoke first. "We'd like to talk. Could we buy you coffee?" That morning in the campus cafe, steam rising from our cups, we sat at a corner table in silence thick with unspoken words. Mom was first to break it. "We've been thinking a lot," she said, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of her cup, "after you left. Well, we had some very long family conversations." Rachel met my eyes squarely. "Ruby, we were wrong. All of us. We took advantage of you for years and called it family duty to make ourselves feel better about it. The day you left, after watching my own kids for just one afternoon, I finally understood what we'd been putting you through." Dad cleared his throat. You needed your own holidays, your own time. You deserved to be treated like an adult, not the family babysitter. We didn't see, or maybe we didn't want to see, how unfair that was. It took losing you to realize what we were doing. I let their words sink in as I slowly sipped my coffee, remembering all the holidays spent upstairs with a cluster of children while everyone else enjoyed themselves downstairs. What about Jennifer? Rachel groaned. Mom assured, the rest of us, we want to do better. Things will be different now. She's still processing. You know how she is. She has trouble admitting when she's wrong. But that shouldn't stop us from trying to fix our relationship with you. We want you to come home because you want to, not because you're needed for childcare, Mom continued, her voice cracking slightly. No more pushing the kids on you. No more expecting you to give up your holidays. We miss you, Ruby. Not as a babysitter, but as our daughter and sister. I studied their faces. Mom's eyes were sincere, Dad's expression showed regret, and Rachel's posture was open. Looking at them now, I could see how much the past 2 months had affected them. The confident authority figures who had dismissed my